Darth, Theorist, rise.
What if the Jedi sent Anakin to therapy? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The Jedi Council chamber feels colder than usual as Anakin Skywalker stands in its center, his armor still scorched from battle, his mechanical hand trembling with barely contained emotion. The circular arrangement of seats seems to press in around him. The mission to Ryloth should have been routine. Extract Republic prisoners from a Separatist detention center, minimal casualties expected. Instead, Anakin's battalion walked into a carefully orchestrated trap that cost him nearly half his men. Good soldiers, loyal troopers who trusted their general to bring them home alive. Master Windu leans forward, his expression grave as he reviews the after-action report displayed on his datapad. 87 clone troopers dead, 34 wounded, all to rescue 23 Republic officers who had already been tortured beyond recognition.
General Skywalker, your tactical decisions during the extraction were unconventional. Can you explain why you chose to engage the entire droid garrison rather than follow the established infiltration protocol? The protocol failed when they detected our approach. I had to save the prisoners.
Save the prisoners you did, but at a great cost, this victory came.
What was I supposed to do? Leave them to die? Let the Separatists execute prisoners of war while we retreated to plan a better strategy?
No one questions your intentions, young Skywalker, but your emotional state during combat has been concerning.
Concerning? You want to talk about concerning? I watched good men die every day because this war demands impossible choices. Because the greater good requires acceptable losses that are somehow always my responsibility. This is combat stress, Skywalker. You need to deal with this. You think this is just about battle stress? I grew up a slave. I lost my mother because we didn't save her in time. I don't even know who my father was. All my life, everyone I've ever loved has been ripped away from me. And now I'm supposed to calmly decide which of my men live and die? In war, you lose men. Good men. The sooner you accept this, the better it will be for everyone. I can't keep losing people. Not again.
Much pain carried you have. Since a child you were. Hidden, not healed. A burden heavy it has become.
No, Master. I don't need healing. Master Yoda's right. You do need therapy, Skywalker. We'll arrange someone.
Some days later, Anakin finds himself in the Jedi Temple's medical wing, standing outside a consultation room, whose warm light feels alien after years of sterile military briefing chambers. The nameplate beside the door reads, Thara Valen, Psychological Services. The door slides open to reveal a Mirialan woman in her 40s, her green skin bearing the traditional facial tattoos that mark significant life achievements. Her brown robes identify her as a Jedi healer, but her manner lacks the formal composure typical of temple inhabitants.
Anakin Skywalker, please, come in. I am Thara Valen.
The consultation room defies every expectation Anakin had formed. Instead of clinical furniture, comfortable chairs surround a small table holding tea service. Natural light filters through windows overlooking the temple gardens, and the walls display artwork rather than medical equipment.
This doesn't look like a medical facility, and I've never heard of you before. Are you even a real Jedi?
I understand your skepticism. I specialize in psychological services, which isn't a path most Jedi take. Would you like to know about my background?
The Council said you're qualified to help with combat stress. What makes you think you understand what I'm going through?
I trained as a traditional healer here at the temple, then spent 15 years studying psychological medicine on Alderaan and Coruscant. I've worked with Republic intelligence agents, clone commanders, and Jedi who've experienced severe trauma.
So what? You're a mind healer? Like the ones in the archives who help Jedi overcome mental manipulation?
Different specialty. Mind healers focus on force-related mental intrusions. I work with psychological trauma, the emotional damage that comes from experiencing terrible things, losing people you care about, making impossible decisions under pressure. The Council consulted with me because traditional Jedi meditation and emotional discipline weren't addressing your specific needs. But Anakin, what you experienced on Ryloth, that's not your primary concern, is it?
What do you mean?
Master Yoda shared some of your background with me. Your childhood on Tatooine, the loss of your mother, the unique circumstances of your entry into the Jedi Order.
What about it?
Being enslaved as a child, separated from your mother at 9, then losing her years later in such a traumatic way, These experiences create deep psychological wounds that don't heal through meditation alone.
The Jedi taught me to let go of attachment. I've moved past all of that.
Have you? Because what I see is someone who carries enormous fear of loss, who forms intense attachments precisely because abandonment feels like death. The combat stress you're experiencing now, it's triggered much older wounds.
I dream about her sometimes. Not being fast enough, strong enough to save her.
Tell me about those dreams.
Over the following weeks, their sessions develop a rhythm that Anakin begins to anticipate with something approaching relief. But unlike his expectations, Thera doesn't focus on battlefield tactics or command decisions. Instead, she helps him navigate territory the Jedi Order never addressed.
You're not what I expected from a Jedi healer. Most of them quote the code and tell me to meditate more.
The code has its place, but it wasn't written by people fighting a galactic war. Sometimes we need tools beyond traditional teachings.
What made you choose this path? Why study off-world?
I lost my Padawan during the Naboo crisis. Not to enemy action, but to psychological trauma she couldn't process. The Jedi Council at the time believed meditation and discipline would heal her. They were wrong. I realized our order had gaps in how we handle emotional damage, so I sought training that could fill those gaps.
For the first time in months, Anakin begins to sleep through the night without dreams of dying clones or his past traumas. His sessions with Thera prove something he hadn't realized he needed: permission to feel grief without shame, and tools to process trauma without suppressing it. Time passes, and Anakin gets better and better. In his private office, Chancellor Palpatine reviews intelligence reports with growing unease. For weeks, he's noticed subtle changes in his most valuable asset. Anakin's visits have become less frequent, their conversations shorter. The young Jedi seems calmer, more centered, less desperate for the validation that Palpatine has carefully cultivated over the years. One particular document draws his attention: psychological evaluation requests for high-ranking military personnel. Anakin Skywalker's name appears prominently in the classified files.
Schedule a meeting with this Dr. Valen for tomorrow afternoon. Frame it as routine oversight of critical personnel welfare.
The following day, Thera receives an unexpected visitor in her temple office. Chancellor Palpatine arrives with minimal security, his grandfatherly demeanor radiating concern and authority.
Dr. Valen, thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I'm deeply concerned about one of our most valuable military assets.
Chancellor, I cannot discuss specific patients, even with your authority. Healer confidentiality is absolute.
Of course. I would never ask you to violate professional ethics. I'm simply concerned about General Skywalker's welfare. The Republic depends heavily on his unique abilities.
Anakin's treatment is progressing. Healing takes time.
That's what's troubling me. Time is a luxury we may not have. He hesitated in yesterday's briefing. That moment of doubt cost several troopers their lives. He blames himself, of course. He always does.
Well, it's not my fault. I'm doing whatever I can. What else is there to do? You tell me.
I know about the Padawan you lost. A terrible burden, and one I fear you may be reliving. But I believe in your skill, Doctor. But if your treatment strengthens his doubts instead of his purpose, the Republic is at risk. You might be the only one who can keep him steady. Please, don't let him slip.
The seed is planted. Thera's genuine desire to help Anakin becomes entangled with concerns about her patriotic duty, setting the stage for the manipulation that will follow. As Palpatine's transport lifts away from the temple, he smiles with satisfaction. The game has begun, and his opponent doesn't even realize they're playing. Some weeks after Chancellor Palpatine's initial visit, Thera finds herself facing an unexpected dilemma. Masamada arrives under the guise of routine oversight, but his true purpose is pressure. He warns Thera that incomplete transparency about a key military asset could jeopardize Republic operations. He stresses that delays in Anakin's stability risk entire campaigns, and subtly reminds her of past failures, of how one misjudgment cost a Padawan's life. Without directly threatening her, he implies that the Senate may question her competence if Skywalker's progress remains uncertain. His visit leaves Thera rattled, fearful she's failing again, and doubting her therapeutic approach. Over the following weeks, the requests become more frequent and specific. What begins as routine welfare checks gradually evolve into detailed inquiries about Anakin's emotional state, his relationships, his response to various therapeutic approaches. Republic intelligence escalates the pressure with a manufactured crisis. A carefully staged cyber intrusion hits the temple's medical archives, just subtle enough to seem real, just targeted enough to suggest someone is trying to access Anakin's files. Within hours, Agent Callus arrives, claiming Separatist operatives may be attempting to exploit Skywalker's psychological weaknesses. He insists that limited access to Thera's assessment summaries could help them detect patterns before the enemy does. The implication is clear. Withholding information might endanger Anakin himself. The manufactured threat deepens Thera's fear that she's already losing control. The realization feels logical. Thera has seen the toll the war takes on Republic officers, witnessed the subtle ways trauma could be exploited by enemy agents. Slowly, reluctantly, she begins providing general assessments of Anakin's emotional state. But the requests don't stop there. A month later, Amata returns with new suggestions framed as medical recommendations.
The Chancellor's personal physician believes General Skywalker would benefit from more intensive emotional processing, perhaps accelerated trauma therapy to help him achieve greater psychological resilience.
Accelerated trauma work can be dangerous if not properly paced. The patient needs time to integrate difficult emotions.
Doctor, we're fighting a galactic war. Time is a luxury our heroes don't have. Surely a practitioner of your skill can adapt standard timelines to serve the Republic's urgent needs.
Against her better judgment, Thera begins pushing Anakin harder in their sessions. What had been gentle exploration of his trauma becomes intensive excavation of buried pain. She tells herself she's helping him build resilience, preparing him for the psychological challenges ahead. In their sessions, Anakin's demeanor begins to shift. Where he once seemed calmer and more centered, he now appears emotionally raw, hyper-vigilant, constantly seeking validation from Thera's responses.
Thera, I had a nightmare again. The one where I'm responsible for everyone's death. What does it mean? What should I do?
These dreams reflect deep-seated fears that we need to confront directly. Tell me every detail, every emotion you experienced.
The aggressive approach leaves Anakin emotionally exhausted after each session, but he interprets this as progress. Thera must know what she's doing. She's the expert, the one person who truly understands his psychological needs. Across the city, Obi-Wan notices troubling changes during their joint missions. Where Anakin once demonstrated improved emotional control, he now second-guesses himself constantly, referring to therapeutic advice rather than trusting his Jedi training. During a briefing on Christophsis, Anakin hesitates before accepting a standard reconnaissance assignment.
Master, Thera says I need to examine why I'm drawn to dangerous situations. Maybe I should take a support role instead of leading the advance team.
Anakin, you're one of the most skilled reconnaissance specialists. Since when do you doubt your abilities?
I'm not doubting anything. I'm being psychologically aware of my motivations.
Obi-Wan feels something fundamentally off, though he can't name it. Word spreads. Other Jedi report similar behavior. Anakin freezing mid-action, overanalyzing harmless impulses, asking for guidance on tasks he once mastered. Gradually, the Council begins to question whether Thera's methods, once praised, are destabilizing their most gifted Jedi Knight instead of grounding him. Meanwhile, in the apartment they share, Padme witnesses different warning signs. Anakin's sleep has become restless again, interrupted by thrashing and mumbled conversations with someone who isn't there.
Anakin, you were talking in your sleep. Something about disappointing Thera?
What did I say? Did I reveal anything about our sessions?
Annie, you seem more anxious than when you started therapy. Are you sure this is helping?
Thera knows what she's doing. She understands things about my psychology that even I don't understand. You wouldn't get it.
The dismissive response alarms Padme. Anakin has never spoken to her with such condescension, never suggested that someone else might understand him better than she does. After weeks of growing concern, Obi-Wan and Padme meet secretly in her senatorial office to discuss their observations.
He's becoming emotionally dependent on his therapist in ways that seem unhealthy. Yesterday he quoted her opinion on tactical decisions.
He acts like she's the only person who truly understands him. It's replacing his connection to everyone else.
Perhaps we should investigate Dr. Valen's background more thoroughly. Something about this treatment approach doesn't feel right.
Their investigation begins cautiously, using Padme's senatorial access to review public records and Obi-Wan's Jedi clearance to examine temple files. Thera's department has been receiving unusually large grants from unlisted Republic security accounts, far beyond any standard medical allocation. The payments begin almost exactly when Anakin's therapy does. Cross-checking temple access logs, Obi-Wan finds her meetings with political figures align precisely with Senate recesses, suggesting a coordinated pressure. Even Thera's demeanor has shifted. Once composed and centered, she now appears strained and distracted in temple hallways, occasionally contradicting her own earlier therapeutic philosophies. Together, these inconsistencies form a troubling pattern neither can ignore. The breakthrough comes when Anakin arrives early for a session and overhears Thera speaking on her comlink in the consultation room.
Yes, sir. I understand the importance of his emotional stability to Republic security. The accelerated protocols are showing results, but I'm concerned about long-term psychological damage.
Your concerns are noted, Doctor. Continue with the current approach.
When Anakin enters moments later, Thera's demeanor shifts immediately to professional warmth.
Who was that?
Just routine medical reporting. Standard protocols for treating military personnel.
But her lie is transparent, delivered with none of the confidence that usually characterizes her professional manner. That night, lying beside Padme, Anakin stares at the ceiling as doubt gnaws at his mind. For the first time since therapy began, he questions whether the person he trusts most might be deceiving him. The foundation of his healing, built on trust and professional integrity, begins to crack. Obi-Wan decides to approach her directly. He waits outside the temple's medical wing until her last appointment ends, then follows her to the peaceful meditation gardens where few people venture after sunset.
Dr. Valen, might I have a word?
Master Kenobi, of course. Though I should mention that patient confidentiality prevents me from discussing.
I'm not here to talk about Anakin's treatment specifically. I'm concerned about you.
I'm not sure what you mean.
You seem strained lately, distracted during temple functions. Your colleagues mention you've been working unusually long hours.
The war creates many psychological casualties, Master. My caseload has increased significantly.
Thera, in my experience, when good people approach trouble, it's often because they're being asked to compromise their principles.
Sometimes serving the greater good requires difficult choices.
What kind of difficult choices?
I can't. I shouldn't be discussing this. There are protocols, oversight requirements, security concerns.
Who is pressuring you, Thera?
No one is pressuring me. I'm simply fulfilling my professional obligations to the Republic.
But her denial is too quick, too emphatic. She hurries away, leaving Obi-Wan with confirmation that his suspicions are correct. Thera is being manipulated by forces beyond her control. The next evening, Padme's senatorial office becomes a war room filled with evidence of systematic manipulation. Financial records trace funding from the Chancellor's discretionary accounts directly to Thera's Psychological Services Department. Communication logs reveal meetings scheduled around Senate breaks. The pattern is undeniable.
She's being coerced. Mentioned difficult choices and serving the greater good. Then realized she'd said too much.
Padme studies the documentation spread across her desk.
The funding timeline matches exactly with changes in Anakin's treatment protocols.
When they present their findings to Anakin, the evidence carries the weight of both financial proof and direct observation.
We have confirmation that Thera has been compromised. I spoke with her directly. She's under political pressure.
You interrogated my therapist behind my back?
We investigated irregularities in her funding and behavior. What we found is systematic manipulation.
Anakin stares at the documents, his mechanical hand opening and closing as the implications sink in.
No. This can't be. Everything I thought I learned, it was all contaminated.
The next morning, Thera's consultation room feels different to Anakin. The comfortable chairs and warm lighting that once provided sanctuary now seem staged, artificial. He enters carrying hidden documents and burning questions.
You seem distressed today. Would you like to?
Obi-Wan spoke with you yesterday about political pressure.
Thera's composure shatters immediately. She knows denial is pointless after Obi-Wan's careful observation.
He's very perceptive.
Anakin produces the financial records and communication logs.
These prove you've been reporting to Palpatine's representatives for weeks.
6 weeks, maybe 7. I tried to resist.
Resist what?
Senator Ameda said the Chancellor was concerned about your welfare. Agent Callas showed me documents about Separatist psychological warfare. Everything seemed reasonable when they framed it as protecting you.
Tears stream down her green skin as months of rationalization collapse.
The funding let me expand programs for other veterans. I convinced myself that sacrificing some confidentiality was worth the broader good.
You let them turn you into a spy.
His lightsaber activates involuntarily, blue energy humming with emotional turmoil. The consultation room door bursts open as Obi-Wan arrives, having sensed the emotional crisis through their force bond.
Anakin, deactivate your weapon.
No, Master. She betrayed us. She betrayed me.
Obi-Wan takes a different approach, remembering conversations about Anakin's therapeutic progress.
Anakin, breathe. Remember what Dr. Valen taught you about recognizing when anger is masking deeper pain. What are you really feeling right now?
Anakin's grip on his lightsaber wavers as the familiar therapeutic prompt cuts through his rage.
Betrayed. Used. Like everything I shared was just her intelligence to be reported.
That's real emotion. The anger is protecting you from feeling that hurt fully, but you're safe to feel it now.
The lightsaber deactivates as Anakin's shoulders sag with exhaustion rather than fury. The irony isn't lost on either of them, using Thera's own legitimate techniques to help Anakin process the trauma of her betrayal.
The techniques she taught you were real, Anakin. It was her application of them that was compromised.
The Temple's council chamber transforms into a tribunal examining both professional misconduct and political interference. Master Windu's expression reflects the gravity of discovering government manipulation within their own medical services.
Dr. Valen, you violated every principle of healing confidentiality.
I understand the severity of my actions. I was overwhelmed by pressure from authorities I believed had legitimate oversight.
Used as a tool, you were, by those who care nothing for healing.
The council deliberates for hours before reaching their decision. Kiarimundi speaks for the assembly.
Thera Valen, you are hereby stripped of your position within the Jedi Medical Services. You will be exiled from Coruscant and prohibited from practicing psychology within Republic space.
Thera accepts the judgment with quiet dignity, understanding that her compromise has destroyed her career and Anakin's trust. That afternoon, Chancellor Palpatine himself requests an audience with the Jedi Council, an unprecedented move that signals the seriousness of the allegations. He arrives in his official robes, flanked by minimal security, his presence radiating calm authority. The council chamber's circular arrangement seems to press in around him as 12 Jedi Masters regard the Republic's leader with new suspicion.
Masters, I'm deeply troubled by these allegations against Dr. Valen.
Your representatives coerced her into violating medical ethics.
I was concerned about General Skywalker's welfare. His importance to our war effort cannot be overstated.
Inappropriate this interference was.
Perhaps my staff was overzealous in their concerns. I never intended to compromise professional standards.
The Chancellor's position as head of state shields him from direct consequences, but his relationship with the Jedi has fundamentally shifted. He cannot afford open conflict while maintaining his carefully constructed facade.
I will ensure that such oversteps do not occur again. The Republic values its partnership with the Jedi Order.
Monitor your actions, we will. Trust, once broken, difficult to repair it is.
Palpatine leaves the council chamber outwardly composed, but in his private office he immediately activates covert channels and triggers a pre-planned cyber offensive. Within days, Republic financial networks collapse across multiple core worlds. Banking grids fail, military payroll systems corrupt, and Senate communication arrays fall offline. The attack bears perfect Separatist signatures, expertly forged from long-prepared templates. Emergency Senate sessions erupt in panic, and public confidence fractures under the scale of economic shutdowns and disrupted trade routes. As senators demand explanations, Palpatine positions himself as the steady central authority guiding the Republic through unprecedented crises, subtly redirecting blame toward intelligence divisions and indirectly toward the Jedi for their recent scrutiny. In the Temple, the Jedi Council immediately recognizes the suspicious timing, but can prove nothing. Their investigation into medical interference now appears insignificant compared to galactic financial collapse. Politically concerned, the Order sees clearly that Palpatine has outmaneuvered them. Within a week, public opinion rallies behind the Chancellor. HoloNet broadcasts praise his steady leadership during the crisis, while questioning whether the Jedi's recent persecution of Republic officials weakened security efforts.
These attacks remind us that in times of war, unity of purpose is essential. We cannot afford internal conflicts that distract us from our true enemies.
The message resonates across Republic space. Citizens worried about their savings and planetary leaders concerned about trade see the Chancellor as their protector, while the Jedi appear to have been pursuing petty grievances. Anakin observes the political fallout with a sharpened awareness. The therapy scandal taught him to question authority, but the cyber attack reveals how easily that authority can reshape public perception. Palpatine has converted exposure into justification for sweeping security measures, emerging politically stronger despite Jedi scrutiny. Obi-Wan and Padme recognize the pattern. Every setback becomes fuel for the Chancellor's expanding power. The Jedi sense they've uncovered only the surface of a deeper conflict. Palpatine is not defeated, merely adapting, turning each challenge into another step toward unchecked control. In the weeks following the tribunal, Anakin processes his betrayal through conversations with Obi-Wan and Padme, but recognizes the need for professional guidance beyond his support network. Through careful research, Padme helps him locate Dr. Kira Nalani, a Twi'lek psychologist operating a private practice in Coruscant's civilian sector. Her credentials include no government contracts or institutional affiliations, just decades of helping ordinary citizens cope with trauma. Their sessions take place in a modest office far from both Temple marble and Senate intrigue. This private therapy becomes Anakin's choice rather than institutional requirement, making his journey toward true independence and self-determination. Thera departs Coruscant on a transport to the Outer Rim. Her career destroyed, but her conscience finally cleared. Her exile serves as a reminder that even good intentions can be corrupted by political manipulation. Across the city, Palpatine reviews intelligence reports with calculated frustration. His psychological approach to controlling Anakin has been exposed and neutralized. The Jedi now watch his every move with suspicion rather than trust, but he remains Chancellor, his political power intact. The setback forces adaptation rather than retreat. New methods, more subtle approaches, different avenues to the same ultimate goal. Amada approaches him.
What's the next move, sir?
The game continues, but the rules have changed.
The young Jedi who once sought his approval now views political authority with healthy skepticism. Anakin's growing independence represents a serious threat to carefully laid plans, forcing Sidious to accelerate timelines and consider more desperate measures. The path to preventing Anakin's fall has begun, but the true test lies in whether the lessons learned can withstand the trials ahead. In the end, trust, rebuilt through honest relationships, proves stronger than manipulation, giving the Republic's greatest asset immunity against its greatest enemy's most subtle weapon. The war continues, but the balance of influence has shifted in ways that will echo across the galaxy's future. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you'd like to join us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.